almost. I didn't want to get excited. How do you go from being someone who, in your words, suppressed their own diversity, suppressed the fact that your father is Mexican, to being behind not just this film, but this extraordinary initiative called The Talk, which Procter & Gamble rolled out in the States, which was incredibly uncomfortable watching. It was about African-American parents sitting their children down and explaining to them, this is what you do if a police officer pulls you over. And, you know, all these extraordinary debates that resulted from that. But at the end of the day, that can't have not been terrifying. You have responsibilities.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's a journey, like anything. And, you know, I look at 1992 and this move, which was so powerful and driven by people, which made the difference. I want to really emphasize that point for a minute, because my journey was a result of a lot of great people, like Michael Chanick, like Brent, like Gus and others. We decided that diversity and inclusion was important, but we didn't quite live it until a few years ago, really. Because what we really started to do is to say, let's think about this in a way, and how is it not just a force for good, but a force for growth? Because it has to be good for business too. Yeah. It has to be, otherwise it's not sustainable. Because when we worked with NGOs and it was really in the philanthropy world, we could donate money, but it had a very little impact. And we talked to them about how do we build it into our business and make it part of who we are, then we can really do great things. And that's why when we chose to work with Gus, and he chose to work with us and be open about Gus being a gay man, and about put the pride flag in the Head and Shoulders ad for the first time, then the outpouring was unbelievable. So there was no backlash. There was an outpouring of support as a result of that. So that's just one little example of where we've come. But it's been a journey. For me, I grew up half Mexican. My dad happened to be named Pritchard. His real dad's name was Gonzalez.
Your father was adopted. So
my father was adopted. His real dad he was actually not even adopted. He just took the name of his mom's husband. So it was because he was very poor too. So the thing about it though is that growing up, I could go between being Mexican and being Caucasian.
You had what they call passing privilege.
I had passing privilege. I had the privilege of being viewed as white, and I could, when I wanted to, be Mexican. I got to work, and I suppressed it. And because I suppressed it because I was fearful. I was fearful of bias, I was fearful of labels. I remember when my dad, when I was applying for jobs and the question about race came up, Dad, what do I put? He said, you put Caucasian. You won't get a job. Because he faced a lot of prejudice. So I tell that story because it wasn't until a few years ago, after we as a company made a choice to really embrace diversity and inclusion, build it into our business. I happen to be the African American Leadership Network sponsor, and I told this story. So I came out as Mexican, basically, because I wanted to tell that story because I felt that if I could tell that story, it would create emotional safety for everybody. And it helped me empathize with what it feels like to be viewed as less than. And it was conversations with Shelley McNamara, who worked for me, actually had to move out of Ohio to get married to Cindy and for her family. I had a boss who was gay and who was at a very high level, who had a lot of struggles with external sources. But talking to people like Brent really helped me come to grips with it. That then really allowed me to say, okay, it's time for us to step up. I was here actually 6 years ago when our chief communications officer at the time called me up because we were getting threatened to be boycotted for sponsoring the Pride Parade in Cincinnati. He happened to be gay. I said, what are they objecting to? He said, they're objecting to you supporting the gay lifestyle. I said, what do you mean? I said, so what do you think? He said, it's not a lifestyle. It's who we are. And it was this moment of clarity. And I said, okay, we're going back and we're supporting it. I also went to an institution that said, you know what? We believe in traditional families and we don't want you promoting gay families. I said, we don't define what a family is. Love defines what a family is. So we're just going to have to agree to disagree. And it was that moment that I left that spot and I said, okay, now we're going to really put P&G's power behind this. And so that's what we start to see now. Now, I don't think we're where we need to be. We need more to do. We're sponsoring Gus, that's a start. We're sponsoring Love Over, Love Has No Labels. We've got Love Over Bias as our advertising. We've done Vic's Touch of Care. We've done Secret Bathroom, which is about transgender. There's some things, but it's not enough. And I think we're doing. I think Brent was awesome for pushing on Words Matter. And I think that's really helped us really get our mojo.
But there is a reality that you also